All right, I'm here in the Better Betting offices. Right? Is the company called Better Betting? Better? What do you
Better.
prefer?
We just call it Better.
Just Better.
Yeah, we sort of segued a little bit away from betting because it's kind of contentious. Although that is our primary vertical.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the coin is an escrow coin, so we can do other escrow functions as well as betting.
Okay.
In fact, we have some other escrow stuff coming out in the wallet quite soon. But it is fundamentally betting. But
Okay.
We've kind of morphed away from the name betting in the foundation name anyway.
I can understand that. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, just tell us. Just give me a quick background of what you did leading up to Better, and how that why you decided to start that project.
Yeah, my background is since 1995 been online gambling. So I started the first online gambling website in '95, which is a lottery, and I ran that for 10 years out of Liechtenstein. And so I've always enjoyed gambling, operating gambling, casinos, sports, whatever, bingo, mahjong for a time, and related to that is payment processing. So the two are interlinked. So I had some success with Earthport, which I started in 1999, I think it was, which is a payment processing company just been bought by Visa a few months ago. And really looking at how you can disrupt the way things happen. So Earthport disrupted foreign exchange. Basically wrote the book on how Forex currently works today. And I try and look at a problem and say, how can I make that better with technology? The new things. When Bitcoin came along 10 years ago, well, probably 11 now, I suppose. I was running a thing called iCoins, which was very similar to Bitcoin, but different technology based, but similar in concept in terms of anonymous payment processing.
What was it called again?
iCoins.
iCoins, okay.
Yeah, so I launched that and spent quite a lot of money on that, but failed to commercialize. We did a lot of stuff on Facebook, with payments between people on Facebook, and between Facebook and MySpace and Bebo and so on. This is 10 years ago when Bebo existed still. But we failed to make any money out of it, so we sort of mothballed it. And I saw Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was really pretty much the same vision, but it was, to be honest, better technology. I like the decentralized nature of it. And so I got interested in crypto, and I was watching the sort of early growth of Bitcoin. Got involved a bit in the beginning, and just trying to work out how you could combine gambling with crypto. How the obvious thing is payments, but that's kind of boring. Anyone can take payments, but how can you actually take the whole blockchain concept and put it more deeply into the concept of the gambling, and that really is what we're trying to do better, is take the whole bet process and put it onto the blockchain. So we eliminate the party in the middle, and that was something that was a challenge for me. It was how do you make money doing that? How do you not be in control and be in control, or not? Where do you sit in the sort of control manifest? Where do you sit in the regulatory landscape? Because that's quite complex as well. I didn't want to be an operator. I was quite keen to try and devise something that was almost operatorless, and that was really not because I'm scared of regulation, but because I felt there was an opportunity there, and there's an opportunity for peer-to-peer betting. Peer-to-peer betting exists on Betfair, of course, where they act as an intermediary, but it is relatively small in the betting landscape. Most people don't understand laying, so it's sort of it's
well, they don't understand the exchange at all.
Yeah, exactly. Exchanges are a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, peer-to-peer betting is legal in many places where sportsbooks are not legal, including America. In America, the legislation is fairly clear. You may not place a bet with an unlicensed sportsbook. Well, it doesn't stop you placing a bet with your mate down the road. You're entirely allowed to phone them up and say, no, agree some odds and place a bet.
Sure.
So hence the better concept, and really what better is in a way it's simple, in a way it's not. It is an escrow token, so it's a token that allows an authentic certain parties to take money from the token and escrow it. So we say to the token, this 1,000 BETR is no longer available for spending until it's freed from escrow. So when you place a bet as a bettor, let's say you place a bet for 1,000 BETR, you lose that $1,000 from your wallet, but it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go to somewhere else. It goes into an escrow state. Okay. And the counterparty to that bet, which is the layer, loses the risk from his wallet. Okay, that also goes into an escrow state. And they both sit in the escrow state until the bet's settled. And when the bet's settled, the payment's made in favour of the winner or whatever the result is. And that's fundamentally how BETR works. We launched it for the World Cup last year with a fairly rudimentary client, and have made some great progress since then with the front end clients to make it more usable and more like a sports book. So if you look at BETR.bet now, it's a very competitive front end for a sports book. It's very easy to understand. We separate the lay and the bet function because I don't believe people understand exchanges, and there are those who don't understand laying. We have a number of layers who are quite competitive, and you're getting good pricing on there now. You're getting much better pricing than you're going to get on 365 or Pinnacle or whatever. So the concept's working. It's been growing over the past year, but we haven't spent any money on marketing. So it's really the growth's all been organic so far. So now we're in a situation where we're technology complete, pretty much, and we're looking at marketing in a bigger way and pushing the volume up.
Okay, so so what's you said how do you make money with this? Because there's peer to peer. I mean, of course, Betfair takes commission on winning bets.
Yeah.
And I think maybe some other commissions, but more or less, if you make a profit,
5%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's I also try to explain that to people. They say, "Yeah, but I got this. Look, it's this price on Betfair." I said, "Yeah, it is, but you need to count in the commission. It's a different model.
5 and 3% volume,
right, but it's a different model than a typical sports book where it's built in, and people don't always see that. I think when they're realizing that. So, do you take commission, or how do you? What's the business model, and does it have anything to do with the with grading the bets?
We don't take any commission. We don't take any part of the bet. So as an organisation, we don't lay. The layers are all independent individuals or whatever. Can be sports books as well. We actually have a Korean sports book coming on soon. We facilitate the software, the contracts and the front end. But we don't make any money from it. We do have a provision to take a very small per transaction fee, which would be a fixed fee per transaction. The idea with that was to cover the cost of the gas, but today we haven't actually implemented that, so that's set to zero at the moment. Our business model is fundamentally to make money from the token increasing in value.
Okay.
And the token's value increase will be entirely driven by liquidity. So fundamentally. To give you a simple sort of mathematical analogy, right now we've got about $600,000 of tokens out there of the current market cap, of which probably 25% are freely trading. The rest are on long-term investors' hands or ours or whatever. So you're looking at about a relatively small amount, $150,000 worth of tokens that are being used for betting or trading on BDC or whatever. If we have in one day $150,000 of bets that are placed and escrowed, there's no more money left in the system. So in order for the system to continue, the price has to go up. It's as simple as that. Because people, at the end of the day, it all relates back to fiat. So obviously it's not going to be a sudden step like that. It grows up gradually. But as the utility and the usage of the token increases, there will become a scarcity of tokens, and that scarcity will drive the price up.
Okay. So
bear in mind that for every bet, you're not only escrowing the stake, you're also escrowing the risk. So $150,000.
Yeah, sure. So it's locked up, so that can't be sold on the market as long as it's
also
locked
twice
up.
the value. So $150,000 of bets is actually about $75,000 because you retain both sides of it. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, then, lately, so that was probably one of the main friction points. Is going from either fiat to BETR or Bitcoin to bet, even for crypto people, to get into the system and then have be willing to risk that the price is not volatile to the downside.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go volatile to the upside, they probably wouldn't mind. And then I think lately you introduced that you can bet with Ethereum and other coins.
Yeah,
And how does that play into the better being used, though? If you can,
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it's always the biggest problem with all these cryptos is that it's really hard to use them. Regardless of whether it's better betting or anything else, it's a real pain to buy Ether and Bitcoin and move it around, and the wallets are all different, and it's really a bit of a mess. And in some ways, I'm surprised it hasn't gone better in the last year. We've invested in our own wallet because there was no appropriate Ethereum wallet when we started, and thank God we did, because otherwise we wouldn't be anywhere, to be honest. But yes, the volatility of the underlying token is an issue for betting, because you expect to be paid back more or less the money that you want. Not you don't want it to move around. So what we've done now is we've introduced a foreign exchange agent in front of the betting clients to enable betting in other currencies. We released Ether 3 weeks ago. And what that basically does is it locks in the foreign exchange rate when you place a bet on a per bet basis. So we do real-time foreign exchange. We say what's the better ETH rate at the time the bet's placed. That rate is locked into that bet, and the winnings are paid out at the same rate. So there's no exposure from the point of view of the punter to a rate change.
So you do the
we take a forex risk.
The ETH better rate.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying it's that price then?
Yeah. So we take a forex risk. Most bets are less than a day, so it's just very short term risk. But essentially what happens is the punter will bet in ETH and get paid in ETH at the same rate. All the bets are secured on BETR, so it doesn't negatively impact our fundamental business model, in that we still have the same liquidity pool in BETR. All the layers are on BETR, but the punter can bet in Ether.
Okay.
And now we're currently a long way down the track with the next currency, which is cross-chain, which is EOS.
Okay.
And EOS is, I think, quite exciting because it's a growing network. There's a lot going on in the EOS space right now, a lot of money circulating there, and I'm looking forward to launching that and seeing how that goes. It's slightly more tricky because it's cross-chain, so we have to not only do the forex, but we have to do a cross-chain transaction. But you'll be able to bet from EOS into our better liquidity pool and be paid out to the same rate and so on and so forth.
So essentially, if you want to lay, then you always have to use BETR directly.
Yeah.
And if you want to be on the other side, then you can use
You can use whatever currencies we support. So
you can use whatever you support.
And we'll expand that. We've already built the functionality for any ERC20 tokens. Of course, we have to be careful that we don't want to be landing up with a bunch of tokens that are worthless. So we're not going to support an ERC20 token that doesn't have some strength.
Yeah, sure.
But we're in active discussions with Dash at the moment. They're very keen to do something. As I said, we've built the EOS version already. That's sort of in testing at the moment. And we'll look at BSV, look at Bitcoin's a bit tricky, it's very slow, but we'll look at appropriate currencies and build as many in as possible. The idea being that it becomes ubiquitous as the way to bet on crypto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ultimately, this issue with wallets and accessibility and ease of use is going to be solved by other people, not just by us. I mean, I know EOS is putting a lot of work into that, to making it more user friendly. Because crypto is really a niche play right now, and it's going to move out of being a niche play to being a masses play. And for that to happen, you're going to have a situation where the average Joe Blow or my mother can go and get a wallet and use it and not be scared by it. And it's going to take some time, but I think that's the future of the thing. And if we're fairly agnostic in terms of the front end currencies, then we're not exposed to which one works. We'll grow with whatever grows.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so because you need, even though you want to do have EOS as a way to bet and everything else, in the end, you still need BETR to be on the other side. So that's still going to increase the demand for BETR, because the people are going to want to be on the lay side, because there's going to be more liquidity coming in.
Not just on the lay side. Bear in mind that someone places a bet for 10 ETH. 10 EOS, sorry, which is $4 now, so that's $30. We have to supply them with $30 or better. Our foreign exchange agent essentially is funding that.
So you're just doing that in the background also.
Yeah. Okay, so we're actually funding the bet, and as our reserves deplete, we have to buy them.
Is there not a huge spread on that, or is it not? Are you just going to eat that? Okay, so it's not a spread. You're just taking that as a direct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And we can adjust the exchange rate, but we don't. There's no
Okay.
difference.
So it's really like a swap, essentially. Okay, that's good. Um, okay, great. Well, I think that we covered a lot of those questions. I think that actually, yeah. I mean, I was going to ask, what are the utilities of the Better platform? I mean, from what I've seen, I think we've already discussed it a little bit. I mean, you have kind of two front ends. I mean, you have the main front end where it looks like a sports book, not like an exchange. It has all the betting options, etc. That, also a big variety. Whatever different Asian handicaps, all kinds of variations. Yeah. And then you have on the other side the lay side, and you can do, I believe, a game and a whole event, or even a whole league.
Yeah, the lay side, my goal there was to make it as automated as possible, because there's a huge amount of data. I mean, I don't think people appreciate quite how much data is involved in this game. I mean, we cover all the major sports and major leagues. In football alone, on a Saturday afternoon, when you kick off the in game for the Premier League, for example, about 5 or 6 games, we'll be receiving 100 price updates a second. It's really it's amazing how much the data change. We get 3 or 4 million price updates a day come through the system at the moment. So in actual fact, for an individual to manually lay all these markets would be impossible. Most sportsbooks have trading teams. So what we do is we take in automated feeds from existing sportsbooks and build an aggregate price, and then allow layers to spread their pricing off that. So a layer can say, I will take the reference price, and I'll go 1.01 or 1.02 or 0.98 or whatever on that price, and essentially adjust his individual exposure according to his risk appetite against the reference price. Typically you'll see larger volumes at the lower prices, naturally. And then some guys will be cheeky and put up a nice 105 and try and grab the action with smaller amounts. And what our system does is it updates those prices on every single market in real time as the prices change in the real world. So the prices that you see in the client are driven by the data from the real world, with the maths applied to it for each layer. So we take each layer, every time we get a price change on a market, which will update every layer's price for their lays and their exposure and so on.
Okay, so they're automatically updated. It's not when I hit lay, an event. So if it's not fixed then when I press lay, or it's just going to be consistently updated. So I have the max exposure that I can get.
So this is a lay.
Yeah, I did it once or twice, but I don't do it regularly.
So we allow people to lay on at various granularity. You can lay on a per event basis, you can lay it per market basis. So you can say, you can override. So you can say, I'll lay the whole of the Premier League at 101, but I want to be competitive in the 1x2 markets, so I'll lay the 1x2 markets at 103 or 104 or whatever, or a higher liability. And per market, you also set your liability. So you say, I'll do 100,000 loss or 200,000 loss or 20,000 or whatever. So you set your maximum losses, and the system manages that and makes sure you don't exceed that.
Okay.
And in tennis, we actually lay by sport because it's just so painful. Because tennis, every tournament's a league.
Okay, yeah.
So every week you got 3 or 4 more leagues popping up, and it's just because it's boring to do.
Yeah.
So you do it by sport.
Yeah.
So from a layer's point of view, once you set the whole thing up, you can pretty much leave it and it runs itself, which is kind of nice.
Right.
But it is, the pricing is competitive, and I think it's the best way to do it, to be honest.
Okay. So if I have a existing sports book, can I just tap into this back end I can basically provide?
So we can integrate feeds. We take feeds from various sources at the moment. It's not a big deal to integrate an odds feed from a sports book, so we can integrate a feed, and we have discussions ongoing with a number of books about this, where they would provide their pricing and as another feed into the system, and then base their lays off their own pricing. So
or what if I could just use your pricing on mine?
Well, they could, but most sports books have their own. They have their own pricing, so they'd prefer to use their own. Either way, we are doing a white label deal in Korea right now, which is using our pricing. So there's different ways of doing it.
Okay.
Depends where you are in the world. Some parts of the world they don't care about pricing. If you go to Africa, pretty much everyone uses better radar pricing. But in Asia, the bigger bets, you'll get more refined pricing models. Depends where you are. But we're flexible on that. To this open APIs, so anyone can put pricing into the system and can lay off that pricing.
So I was just, I was getting into all that, and I know that you want to make it simplified, but I just was trying to figure out, volume basics, because I was just trying to research it myself, because, you see in crypto world, on some of these things, like, you have other gambling apps, like Dice or whatever, and some of these volumes are, ridiculous in my opinion. You can just set up a bot and do your own one so that it gets to the top of the D-app list or whatever. I want all that stuff to grow too, but it's just everyone.
Well, you're also going to be careful comparing a game like a slot machine to sports betting.
No, that's not. I was just not at all. I just mean
slot volume is slots running at 95%.
That's not what I mean. I mean just that it's hard. So in general, we got Betfair, you've got a few other exchanges, but in general, it's kind of a black box as far as volume. You can they could say, oh, we have this much coming in. You know what I mean? But there's no. It's not like order books at exchanges or something where you can at least you could say you can get an idea of the volume. So we don't really know, like Bet365, nobody knows the real volume. I mean, they have to report it, but you don't know.
I don't think they have to report it.
They don't have to, right? Yeah. So probably, I guess,
private company.
Indeed, yes. So you can have anything. So everyone is wondering, or not everyone. I was wondering.
Yeah, we're a bit coy about. Look, the truth of the matter is the volume is very public. It's on the Ethereum blockchain.
Right.
If you've got enough text and you want to go and do some numbers, go and dig.
Okay.
But having said that, we don't release the numbers. I mean, largely we don't pretend to be huge. We're not huge.
Sure.
To be honest, if we're huge, the price will be 10 times what it is now anyway.
Okay.
But we haven't done any marketing, so we've really got to start growing into it now. I'm coy about releasing figures. It is growing now, but until we start some proper advertising and marketing and get some real volume into the system, we're not going to be releasing numbers. But as I say, by all means, go and dig around underneath the scale. It's not that hard to find out.
All right. Okay.
There are bets happening all the time. Layers are making money. The system works as it should do, which is a good thing. There's some decent bets coming through. Some nice chunky ones.
Okay. Good.
But it's relatively slow. We haven't really got the exposure we'd like to have. And some of that's a function of money. It's expensive marketing in the space. You're banging your head against sports books and the crypto. So you got two resistance levels, if you like. First, you got a very competitive marketplace with gambling advertising, and then you got a situation where, to some degree, we're still constrained to people who are into crypto, because the average Joe Blow's not going to go and buy Bitcoin. Forget about BETR. They're not going to buy Ether or Bitcoin.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So you're sort of like in a little bit between a rock and a hard place there. But having said that, you also have access to a pool of money that's there. You go to EOS, there's shitloads of money floating around in EOS, and all it's doing is gambling. So if you can tap into that, then that's a good thing. So.
Okay. Well, I think I don't really have a lot more questions. You could just, you've said, what you guys have not done a lot of marketing, so that's going to come sometime in the future. You've built up the product. I think it's interesting. So let's just say I was a sports book, and I wanted to use your pricing or my pricing. Does that cost anything? It just costs that I need to have better.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the main cost.
To lay, you've got to back up.
Right. So I would just load up an account.
There's no way to lay a bet without putting the money down.
Right.
Otherwise, the system loses integrity.
Sure. But just as a simple, way to explain it, I would, basically, buy a bunch of better, make my lay account, set up the markets that I want to offer on mine, and lay those and connect it all with the APIs and everything else.
Exactly.
Okay, that's actually sounds pretty interesting, because you could offer a lot of. If I wanted to build an app just with some basic bets, theoretically you could connect to the system.
Well, we're going through this exercise now with a bunch of guys in Korea. They're doing a white label of the app. So we've done the Korean translations now. And they're going to do some a bunch of white labels, and they're gonna lay and then participate in our general liquidity pool as well as offering their own to their own customers. And so they'll be modifying the app to add some chat windows and stuff like that, things that they think will work in their local environment. I mean, that's ultimately, as far as we're concerned, the more people that use it, the better, because it's just liquidity.
Sure.
And of course, they have to buy a bunch of better to make it work. So that's the thing.
Okay. Well then, all right. How can we get in touch with you if we want to do the things like I said, like if I have a sports book or if I just want to get into laying? What's the best place?
Just email Adrian@BETR.org. Yeah.
Simple enough. Yeah.
Yeah, or Telegram or whatever, but email's the simplest way. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Great.
Right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.